Welcome to the Sun today for the 20th of February 2025. The Sun is being a bit schizophrenic today in that some of the activity indicators have been reducing whereas others have picked up. So let's take a look and see what's going on. Overall, solar activity has been quiet. The sunspot number did increase somewhat. There are no new numbered sunspot regions. Flare activity, 6 C flares, same as yesterday, no M flares, same as yesterday, but coronal mass ejections really picked up to 14 from 2. The solar wind speed has dropped to 350 kilometers per second, and as a result the magnetosphere is very quiet. Let's take a detailed look at the sunspots. There are 7 numbered regions on the disk, and there are 2 new ones marked with question marks that have not been numbered as yet. One in the northeast, which I'll show you a little movie of in a second, and one just coming over the northeast limb. We are losing 3989 over the northwest limb, and we'll probably be losing 3990 over the southwest limb tomorrow. The sunspot areas increased slightly to 1335 millionths. As I mentioned earlier, we have a rapidly emerging sunspot region in the northeast part of the sun. So I'm going to show you an SDO-HMI continuum movie showing the emergence of those sunspots. It starts as a single tiny spot and then explodes into a region nearly 2 Earths across in a matter of hours. Let's take a look at the movie. In the meantime, the KP index, a measure of how active the magnetosphere is, has dropped from 4 to 0. The solar wind speed has dropped to 350 kilometers per second, as we predicted yesterday, and the ion temperature is now below 100,000 degrees Kelvin. On the left, we have a plot of the KP index showing the geomagnetic storm from a couple of days ago, but you can see since then the magnetosphere has quieted down quite a bit. And this is reflected also in the auroral arc, which is shown here on the right. That's a lot quieter than it was looking just a couple of days ago. We have some new coronal holes appearing over the east limb. There's that little one that's just north of Sun Center that I talked about yesterday. And there's one coming over the east limb. But there's also a hint of one near the south polar region. We need to take a look at that as it rotates further onto the disk. The solar wind model is shown on the right. The top plot is plasma density, but the bottom plot is the one that's really of interest, which is the solar wind speed. And you can see we're in a moderate solar wind flow at the moment, that yellow thing. In a day or two's time, we'll be hit by that red one, which should increase the solar wind speed significantly, up to what would seem to be about 500 to 600 kilometers per second. Here is the GOES X-ray plot, which is how we measure the size of flares. We had 6 C flares today, though I might argue we had more than that. 0 M flares and 0 X flares. The X-ray background is at the equivalent to a 1.6 C level flare. As I mentioned, coronal mass ejection activity suddenly increased today. We went from 2 CMEs yesterday to 14 today. So I'm going to show you a movie from using the Soho-Lascaux coronagraphs C2 and C3 covering 2 days of data. And the thing to note is about halfway through the video how suddenly the coronal mass ejection activity picks up. Let's look into our crystal ball and see what we think tomorrow's forecast will be. I suspect the sunspot number will remain at about 150 as we're losing a couple of regions over the west limb, while we've got those 2 regions coming on the disk, one developing quickly and the other one rotating onto the northeast limb. Solar wind seems to be slowing down. I expect that to continue, so we're not expecting any geomagnetic storms in the near future. Looking a little further into the future, we're looking at helioseismology results here. The grey area in the middle is the part of the sun that we're seeing currently, shown as a magnetogram. Either side of that is the far side of the sun, and the plot is moving from left to right. So you can see there's a large sunspot group in the northeast due to come over in a couple of days, and then there's another one following it just behind. So in about 4 or 5 days' time, we should have quite an increase in sunspot number. Once again, thank you for listening. If you enjoy these videos, please pass them on to friends or neighbours or relations who you think might benefit from understanding more about how the sun works. And so until next time, stay safe and goodbye.